Hello everybody. My name is Sergi Vieta. I work for Onside Sports. It's a subsidiary of Lagardère Sports Group. And we are going to talk about the friendly games as a catalyst or a pillar in the internationalization of the international brands for football clubs. First, before we get into context, let me just show you 3 slides which would tell you about the dimension of this project or this topic. Okay. First of all, just a summary of some of the deals and matches which have been already been published and officially published at the moment. Some of them will come over, but as you can see, China seems to be focused the interest from most of the global clubs, plus Japan as well as Singapore as other big markets. As you can see, most brands or most clubs in Europe, they're coming here as well as in the States, and they have, based on their strategy, coming 1 year here or a year to the States as 2 of the biggest markets they're looking at. What we've seen when we study the strategy of several clubs in Europe, we can think about, or we can discuss about a 2-step project or strategy. The first one would be all clubs need to get relevant in the market. In order to get relevant, it means you need to do an investment there, which can be organized in 3 different areas, 3 different pillars, which one would be obviously the investment in the digital marketing and product management strategy. Second one, you need to be aware of what the economic community is in each market, so therefore you need to work in cooperation with other sports, as well understand what the community and the fans are looking at, and then build up or start with academies. And the third one, and which would be the topic that we discussed today, would be how international tours or friendly matches also help or assist in the development of this international strategy. In the end, when you manage to get the relevance within every single market, then you can start doing the sales, both on the merchandising, on the regional sponsorship, as well as selling your media rights as well as the players' rights, or increase the value of the international games or tours. Okay. And finally, just for this introduction, we want to discuss the different approaches football clubs do in relation to organization of friendly games or tours. As you can see in the slide, there are 4 different models, which I guess they can be combined or can appear new most in the future. But one, which is the easiest one, is where you are part of a tournament. In that one, your risk is 0, but at the same time, you give all your rights for the promoter or the organizer of the event or the tournament. The second one, which is the opposite of the previous one, is that you are a promoter. You're a promoter, you take advantage of your local offices as well as you work with local agencies in which you organize the games from A to Z, which you have the full risk, but at the same time you retain all the proceeds, as well as you can involve the community, your sponsors, as well as all the other areas you invest in the club. Third one, which sometimes this one is mandatory because you sign contracts with the sponsors for different markets, which they include already friendly games, so therefore you need to participate within them, which is good to leverage the value of the sponsorship in the association with the club, but at the same time brings you additional contact with the fan base, which is the same we're doing Barcelona with Rakuten this year in Japan. And the last one, which is pretty new, is the project, or is the area which most clubs, or some of the clubs, they're working together with association or the leagues of the countries in which they promote the brands together. They can do with official games like they do with the Super Cup, French Super Cup, as well as Italian Super Cup, but also with different vehicles the local, the association does in order to promote the values in several markets in order to increase the value of the media rights in the future, which, for instance, as 2 examples would be La Liga World Challenge and the Premier League Asia Trophy, as well as the Bundesliga are giving money to their German clubs when they come to a specific relevant market. And this is basically all in terms of introduction of this topic. And let me now introduce the gentlemen we have here with us. On my first left is Sebastian Wasels. Sebastian Wasels, he works for PSG, He's been here. He's been in PC for 10 years now, and as the international business development manager. But recently, last year, he moved to Singapore to run the Asia business for PSG. And then more on the left, we've had Julian Camp. Julian Camp, he is expert in sports business. He's been based in Kuala Lumpur for the last 27 years, and he's very much linked with football clubs in Europe, organizing for them events, developing their brands, selling regional sponsorship, as well as building up academies and new development programs. So here we are. Let's, if you don't mind, start with a question for these two gentlemen. I start with Seb. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Okay, my first question for you would be, how important are tours and games of the first team in Asia as part of your international Asian strategy, as well in the commercials on bottom line revenues of the company, of the club?
Tours in Asia, as well as in other parts of the world, are absolutely fundamental in our strategy. For one main reason is the fact that most of the year, actually 11 months out of 12, we have to be in Europe to do our national or European competition. So the only moment where we can go and meet with our local fans, meet with our partners, do our activation in our key territories from US, Asia, Africa, Middle East, is during this pre-season or winter break in our case. So it is absolutely fundamental. On an economic standpoint, it is obviously a source of revenues for the club, direct revenue, because just like you presented in your model, we can be part of a tournament for which the tournament will pay for us, or we can organize it directly. But also it is an opportunity to convince corporate partners to join the club because they see the potential activation on the ground when you come on tour to be a great way to engage with their client, promote their services, because their main assets will be on the ground. But at the end of the day, what really is key for us is get closer to our fans. Most of our fans, I was in a panel this morning with Barca and Arsenal and Dortmund, and as we were saying, we have a lot of fans in that part of the world, just like we have in Africa or in Americas. And let's say 95% of these people will never come to the stadium, will never see the player closer. So the tour is a great opportunity also to engage with those fans. So that's why we are a younger club, a younger project, but from the acquisition by QSI of Paris SaintGermains in 2011, we decided that when we do our tours, we make sure to really have an interaction with the local community, really offer them a great experience for our fans, for our corporate partners. We just don't come, take a check and leave. We really want to do something special.
Julian, that one for you. With your long experience in bringing clubs here over in Asia, what do you think would be the main interest for football clubs coming here in this part of the region?
First of all, thank you for having me. I think people in Asia get to see all the top European teams playing in and out. So they obviously get very excited for any team to come over to perform at their doorsteps. Like what Sebastian just said, 95% of the fans have never been to the stadiums overseas. So it's a great opportunity for them to come out and meet the teams, meet the players, and to take part in all the activities organized by the clubs during the tour. So that's very important.
Sebastian, in your opinion, what would be the driven for selecting a country or a region for your pre-season tours or games during the summer?
I mean, there are several factors. So you have to, as far as we are concerned, we have two periods. We have July, which is right before the beginning of the season in August, and we have the winter break because we don't have the Boxing Day like in England. So if we take the winter break, it is a very short period. It's usually 4 or 5 days between Christmas and New Year's Eve. It's a period where you cannot go too far. So what we've done the last few years, we've done a lot. We traveled a lot to the Middle East for obvious reason, but we also went a lot to Africa, North Africa, because one, it's both markets, Middle East and North Africa, are key market for the development of the club, and two, at that time of the year, for those of you who knows Paris in December, it is not the best timing to get proper training. So going on in those countries is great, both on the brand development, meeting with fans, but also give better training condition to the team. So it's a when we decide on where we will go in winter, it will be a mix of these elements. As far as the summer is concerned, a lot of clubs, what they do 1 year in the US and then 1 year in Asia. What we have tried to do is to try to do a longer period, so come 2-3 years in the same region of the world, just to engage better, to have a better penetration on the market, have more commercial opportunities, because first year you have a tour, you can engage conversation with corporate partners, with potential academies, with different licensing opportunities, and having the opportunity to say, yeah, but the team is going to come back the year after, is a great way for them to engage and say, hey, you know, I'm having good conversation with this club, we're going to move forward, and because we're going to be able to activate in another way. And on a fan standpoint, it is also a way for us to, you know, announce an Asian tour. We do a few countries, and the year after we do other countries. So we're gonna announce our tour for Asia next week. We did Singapore last year and one match in China. You just mentioned on your slide that we're gonna come for the Trophée des Champions in China again this summer because it's organized by the league, but we're gonna do somewhere else than Singapore next season, and it will be announced next Monday. So, you know, key for us is our strategic markets, our ability to grow our fan base, our potential economic outcome out of doing the tour, and obviously, and last but not least, the sporting department and the coach has a big say about it. So obviously there are places in the world where some coaches prefer to go than others. So it's always a conversation with the sporting department to define where we're gonna go, how many times we're gonna break their routine, because for them it's a pre-season, so it's where they prepare the team. For us, it's wow. We are in Asia, it's a great opportunity to activate with our sponsors, meet with the fan. We want the players as much available for us as possible. But, you know, the coaches see it the other way. So it's always good fun.
Thank you very much. Julian, my question here would be, once the club has decided for one country, what would be your advice in order for that club to optimize or maximize their relevance and their brand awareness and relationship with the fan around that tour, around that game?
I think in the tour business, we have two kind of tours. One is individual country, and then another one is by take part in the tournament. So if you are talking about the individual matches, for example, 1, 2, 3, and then form a proper tour. For example, like PSG Asia Tour. So you travel into different countries, but you form one tour. By doing that, you have a better control of the branding, because the whole tour is all about PSG. It's about your club. Whereas if you compare that to take part in a tournament, you'll be part of that tournament. And with no disrespect, some teams, not the top tier teams, may find it difficult to find enough individual matches to come out to Asia. So if they have the opportunity to take part in the tournament, that will be a great platform for them to get their exposures from Asia.
Sebastian, what you just mentioned that you come in AC again during coming July. What do you expect? What will be the outcome you expect from this tour on the short term? I mean, on that specific tour, but also in becoming relevant for the Asian fans.
I mean, what we try to do during the tours is, as I mentioned earlier, have the players as much as possible available to us and do a lot of activation. We have a very, I believe, very special project at Paris Saint-Germain. We are the only football club representing the city of Paris, which is quite uncommon when you look at Europe. 7 clubs in London, as I mentioned this morning. Most of the European cities have at least 2 clubs. So it gave us an opportunity when we decided to create this global brand back in 2011 when QSI acquired the club to really emphasize on this natural association with the city of Paris and go beyond just the football. That's why in all our communication you see Paris Monument and you see reference to what Paris represents in terms of symbolics. And it is something that is the core part of our brand strategy, and we try to go in areas that are not so obvious for football. So we go into lifestyle, we go into fashion, we go into culture, we go into gastronomy, whatever, all the symbolics of Paris, try to go a little bit away from it. So the activation that we tend to do during the summer are relevant to that. So we do a lot of collaboration. Last year in Singapore, we did a lot of collaboration with local artists that designed sneakers and special jersey that were sold on a very nice and stylish store here in Singapore. We did a lot of activation around gastronomy, around culture. So we do a lot of these to really be in phase in our brand strategy and be a different kind of club. But obviously we don't forget about the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is have a good time with the fans. So we do a lot of meet and greet with the fans. We do a lot of CSR activation. The last 5-6 years we always take the players to the local hospital to meet with the kids, offer present, uplift their spirits. Spend time with the local community. We organize academy session for the kids who want to learn football. There is one thing that we do pretty well at the club, which is our player development program, training kids. So we try to provide that. We spend some time with local coaches also to share our know-how, our training methodology. And to get back to your question is, what do you expect from it? We expect that all this activation, all these good moments will help us increase our fan base and also show to our corporate partners, because let's face it, football is a very big business activity now. And it's also a way for us to show to our corporate partners the way they can activate with us, the different kind of platform they can use to underline their association with the club. And we've done, before coming last year in Asia, we did 3 years in the US in a row, and we see our fan base in the US growing drastically. We pretty much doubled it. We did the first one in New York, stayed in New York and traveled around. The second one, we did it in Los Angeles, and the third one in Miami before coming here. And the results have been extremely significant. So we know that it's a formula that works well to help grow our fan base and make more people know about Paris Saint-Germain and our project. And we hope to do the same in Asia.
Julian, how agencies locally help clubs in obtaining these goals and succeeding in their objectives in the Asian?
It helps our business. So, no, I think the most important thing is the local knowledge, the know-how. I think it's important that we are here to help the club as an extension to the club. So in terms of rolling out their activities, we facilitate their requirement when they are here. It's not just about a football match. There will be a lots of activations surrounding the event. So the activations with the sponsors are important, activation with the fans, engaging the fans, how to increase the fan base. And these things that we will help to act as an extension to the club. We are helping them. They'll come to us with all the questions, their requirement, and then we will work with them, and we are the one-stop solution for them. So when they come to us with a question, and then we will sort it out for them. And this is how we see the advantage of using an agency.
Last question for you, Julian, on this topic as well, because we are all the time talking about what the expectations are for clubs coming into Asia. But what does football fans expect from football clubs here in Asia?
As we mentioned many times in this conferences, a lot of fans are unable to travel out to watch the teams train, they play. So it's important that for the teams to travel out to Asia to meet their fans. Obviously, they want more time with their players. They want to see the players, and then when they see the players, they want to have selfie with the players. They want to chat with the players, and then they want to have a meet and greet with the players. And then they'll come to the match, and then they want to have a event merchandise and everything, just as a memorabilia to remember that I attend that match. So it's all part of that experience when the team comes over. So they want to get closer to the clubs, and it's important for the clubs to let the fans to get closer to them as well. So.
Last question for you, Sebastian. What would be, in your opinion, the key markets or key territories for Paris Saint-Germain to come for the next years, and why?
So we did Singapore last year, and our game in China. We're gonna announce next week where we're gonna go, but it's gonna be very exciting. You know, some of the market, and we actually discussed a little bit earlier with Julian on potential opportunities in the near future. But Paris Saint-Germain has the will to go in every single market where he has a strong fan base, when people believe in the project. And some of these countries are Japan, South Korea, obviously China, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, and at some point Australia also. So it's a lot of countries, but you know, step by step, we're gonna go there. We also had discussion about Malaysia because it could make a lot of sense also for us to come here. So we're gonna see it all. You know, as we mentioned, it all depends on the opportunity, both on fan base, economic standpoint, but also considering the sporting department requirement, the coach's preference, which is obviously a strong lever. So all these countries are going to be looked after, and we're going to discuss with Julian and other big actors on tours about, you know, potential opportunities in the future. But the goal is again to come in all these markets and spend time with our fans, give them great money can buy experiences, meet with the players, give opportunity to activate to our sponsors, and also expose what Paris Saint-Germain project is all about. And I think it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a little different from the other club, and it's very exciting.
Thanks very much. Now, if you don't mind, we open questions for the audience. If you have any question you want to ask any of our two guests, we're happy to listen and to answer.
Just hi guys. I just wanted to ask both of you how important it is to get the support of the players on the, to come on the tours, and obviously some of them could be injured or some just may be tired from a long season. From a team perspective, do the players enjoy these tours? And from a promoter's perspective, how important is it to have all the top names come on the tour?
Obviously, you had to ask the tricky one. No. The players enjoy the tours. It's for a lot of them, they don't travel in a lot of part of the world where we go on tour. A lot of them, usually tell me that's the first time they go in this country, so they love it. At the same time, it is tricky because it's extremely requiring, because it is a period of the season during which they train extremely hardly on a physical standpoint. First, they come back from vacation, and two, that's the moment where it's the most requiring to make sure they are in the best shape in March, April, where a trophy gets won. So it's extremely difficult on a physical standpoint. They usually face also the jet lag part of it. And to add on it, then there is people like me coming every day to say, hey, I need you to do some activation, to meet with some fans, meet with some partners. So it is tricky, but it's always good fun. And at the end of the day, it's very tricky on international year. When you have international competition, when we have a World Cup here, when you have a Copa America like it's going to be this summer, or when you have an Euro, it's always a little tricky. On top of it, because as far as we are concerned, we are one of the leagues that start the earliest. So considering that, it's usually the players usually have a 3 weeks mandatory vacation after the last match. So, for instance, we have Copa America this summer. I think the final is on the 6th of July. So if you had 21 days for the players that have been in final, then you get to 28th of July, and we have the end of the preseason, which will be the French Super Cup for us, is August 3rd. So it's a very small window, but both on a commercial standpoint / fan opportunities than on the sporting aspect, everybody wants all the players during the tour. Not only us, because we want to make sure that we have all the stars to take advantage of all the opportunities, but also the sporting staff want to make sure that the players have the proper physical preparation to be there. So it's always a lot of discussion ahead of the tour, a lot of discussion with the promoters, but we always find compromise and good agreement.
From our point of view, I think the business has changed so much from when we started in the 90s. We often do postseason tours rather than preseason. So postseasons are more relaxed, and the players are not that serious. Maybe I think they're more relaxed. So compared to nowadays, I think it's all preseason, and this is a back-to-school tour. So they all work very hard, as you just said. And I think from last year, I think at the ICC, I think you see a few young players from Arsenal play in that tournament. And actually, I think there are 3 young players, I can't remember the name, but 2 of them actually are good enough, and then now playing in Germany's Bundesliga. And actually, after this season, they will call back and join Arsenal for next season. And there's one player is Matteo Gondozzi, and he's playing regular for Arsenal. And that's because he played so well in the preseason last year in Singapore. So that shows how serious the teams and the players are treating these tours quite serious. To answer your question, in Asia, it's not just about the club. The clubs are important, but I think star players sell tickets. So if you say you guarantee the players' attendance, people will come and buy the tickets, and that will affect affect our commercially. So that's the point.
Any other question? No? Okay, so thanks very much. It was a applause to our gentlemen here, and thanks very much for coming.